So this is take two on this because take one, YouTube was giving me problems with uploading the video, so that's lovely. But anyway, so this is take two. So, being that I'm a coaster enthusiast, one of the most hyped up coasters right now is Velosicoaster. And the park that is at is Universal. And Universal has a contract with a certain JK Rowling who has been incredibly transphobic recently. And when I say recently, I do mean over the past few years. But being that I'm a trans person as well as being a coaster enthusiast, this puts me in a really tough spot. And this is a conversation that I have not seen people talking about that I feel needs to be had because being a transgender coaster enthusiast, I'm really in a tough spot. I'll just put it that way. So, before making this video, I looked into how Universal pays for the Harry Potter licensing so that I can be informed while making this video. And I'm going to tell you that there is not a direct commission from ticket sales, so that's definitely a positive of you can go and enjoy Velocicoaster because I've got some news for you. No matter how noble you think you're being by doing your boycott of Universal over this, the majority of the general public who go there, the main attraction for them is the Harry Potter stuff. So that isn't being taken away because a few people decide to not go to the parks outright because they're giving JK Rowling a guaranteed commission every 10 years. So this is an instance where it can be, in my opinion, as a trans person, it can be you can enjoy the coasters. If I looked into every park, I'm sure I would find something that was at least somewhat questionable if I looked into where the money is going. So at the end of the day, enjoying the rides is a legitimate position to take on this. However, I will say, under no circumstances should you be buying any Harry Potter merchandise, because with that, JK Rowling is getting a direct commission from the purchase of that merchandise, down to basically anything you could purchase in the wizarding world at Universal. So, does that mean that if you're seeking out credits, don't ride Hagrid's because you want to be really in their face about it? You already paid for the ticket if you're there for Velocicoaster, and it's a credit. You're not giving them more money to get the credit unless you're paying for whatever their skip the line thing is. So, yeah, go ahead. Go enjoy both of the credits at Universal that I do not have because I've not been there since 2017. But I can say safely, after the research that I have done, if I was offered a trip to Universal, with Velocicoaster being a coaster that is super hyped up right now, I would probably say yes, because I have not been there in a few years. There are coaster credits I do not have. That being said, I am going to add the caveat to this that because they have that contract with JK Rowling and they're actively promoting a work that causes people like me, who are a vulnerable minority, a lot of harm, since they're actively promoting that, I will say Universal is definitely not something you should be doing every year if it was something you were doing every year, because even if JK Rowling isn't getting that direct commission from ticket sales, they are still promoting that work. So is it so minute that it's gonna basically not register? I mean, yeah. So, like, I mean, you don't need to be overly guilty about going, but I mean, I can say that I personally will only go every few years after there has been a lot of changes, and basically it's a one and done every time. That basically, for me, with the whole Wizarding World stuff being there, Universal is basically a one and done every. Well, I guess I was towards the end of their first 15 to 20 years when I went in 2017. So I would say it basically restarted after they added after they had added their two new coasters with Hagrid's and Velocicoaster. I would say the 15 to 20 year span basically restarted, but I would say that basically Universal is a one and done every 15 to 20 years for me at this point. It's a get the credits, see any new dark rides that have come in, but like, I mean, I'm not overly into screen-based dark rides, so I mean, it's not a huge sacrifice for me to say, oh, I'm only going to go once every 15 to 20 years when there are new coasters that I want to ride. That's not a big sacrifice to me, because saying I don't need to see these screen-based dark rides, that's not really a big sacrifice for me. It's just not. So I mean, that's basically my thoughts on Universal as a trans person. I mean, I'll admit, before I did my research for this video on how the commission works, I was a lot more, you should not be going at all. I was a lot more in that camp, thinking that JK Rowling got a direct commission from the ticket sales. But given the research that I did for this video, I can say I've opened up to them, for me, once every 15 to 20 years. And that 15 to 20 years, if you go at the end of that 15 to 20 year span and then it restarts basically just a year or two after you go, then I mean, that's I mean, basically, if even though it was just 5 years ago that I went, I would say it's a different 15 to 20 year span, because they had the dragons when I went, and they did not have Hagrid's or Velocicoaster. So in terms of coasters, it's definitely the start of the next 15 to 20 year span for that. So, but like, I mean, yeah, it is a fairly limited visits park. Very, very limited visits is what I would say, because I, as a trans person, cannot really get behind a company that's promoting the work of JK Rowling and all that stuff, because of the harm she does to people like me. So, like, I mean, I know my position is a bit complicated, and, like, I mean, if you take a different position, I can probably respect your position as long as you acknowledge that JK Rowling is wrong. Like, I mean, as long as you're in that camp, I can have a conversation with you about your position on this matter, as long as you agree with me that JK Rowling is 100% wrong, unquestionably.